Greetings, NFL fans. Today is Friday, November 21st. This is the Shutdown Corner Podcast. Kevin Kaduk here with Frank Schwab and Jay Busbee. Fellas, we are 1 week away from Black Friday. I know you guys are both ready for your shopping. But today it's Silver and Black Friday. Silver and Black Victory Friday. Let's head for the Oakland Raiders.
Hell yes.
Raiders!
Play some bad heavy metal and go and paint our faces silver. Go around and kick the dog.
For the first time in over a year, we're sitting here celebrating an Oakland victory because, of course, we're all three huge Raiders fans.
Indeed.
We always talk good about them. We always expect the best of them. But finally, they came through with a win.
Yeah, it was expected.
It was like... It was one of the best Thursday night games we've ever had, too. Who would have thought? Like, it really was. I know me personally, I was really, into it by the fourth quarter, just because nothing against the Chiefs, but they were kind of a sideshow last night. You just wanted to see, can the Raiders win a game? Are they going to blow a 17-3 lead?
I was going to say, that it's not can they win, it's can they stay out of their own way and avoid losing. And they very nearly did.
Yeah.
The
funny thing about this game is, I looked at this game and said, everything is here ripe for a Raiders upset. Short week, interdivision matchup, Chiefs looking ahead to the Broncos, at home in Oakland. And so I thought, they jumped out to that lead, and I thought they're still somehow going to screw this up. Even on that fourth out, I thought they still are going to lose.
The play of the year is C.O. Moore and Khalil Mack just losing their minds. They're 15, 20 yards behind. They get the sack on Alex Smith. And C.O. Moore goes into this extravagant celebration. He's running the other way. He's literally running the other way behind the line of scrimmage. And I'm thinking to myself, is he going to get lined up in time? Is this? And then, Khalil Mack joins him for the celebration.
The great thing about that play is that you and I and Jay and anyone else who was watching that game was watching that play, and we probably went through the same amount of steps. Wow, that was a great sack. The Raiders might pull this off. Wow, that's probably a little bit more celebration than you should be doing, guys. Wow, they're really behind there. Holy cow, the Chiefs are going to snap the ball. Oh, my God, what just happened? Did they call a timeout?
Yeah, the screenshot of it is great. The screenshot is just perfect with both of them just, half a mile behind the line of scrimmage there. So
just hanging out. And
the only thing that would have made that play any better had one of them tore their ACL.
I wonder, let's say the timeout doesn't come to pass. Let's say the Raiders don't have any timeouts. Are the Chiefs allowed to run that play, or do you, is it unabated to the quarterback rule? You got to whistle at that. Else the Chiefs have a free play against 9 players. I know that they cannot complete a touchdown to a receiver. It's against their rules, but just throw it deep and you're probably going to hit a touchdown right there. It would have been had this come to pass and the Chiefs would have won the game somehow off of this, it would have been Jim Marshall running the wrong way times 10. It would have been the biggest blooper in NFL history.
Oh man, it's like a Madden glitch, man. You line up your defense in the backfield and just annihilate the quarterback.
In Madden, when you run your you're screwing around or whatever, you run your defensive player behind the quarterback, turn off offsides or whatever. Yeah, that was that was the craziest moment of that game. It was a great game.
It's a sort of thing. We were joking by saying we're all Raiders fans. I actually don't want the Raiders to ever win. I don't really feel bad for the fans when they lose, but I actually feel bad for their players. I feel bad for players that are drafted by them. When you're a football player, you have a limited amount of hits you can take. Limited amount of wear and tear your body can take. I just feel bad for guys that go out there. I know they're getting paid well and all that, but I feel bad for guys who are putting in that effort for the Raiders season year in and year out. So good for them. Celebrate all you want.
Pour one out for Charles Woodson, man. Still going at it, still making plays. All these decades later, it was good to see.
I wonder what he thinks in an honest moment. He's not going to be honest, but he really had an offer from the Broncos. He could have come to the Broncos, and who knows how that would have worked out, but. How often does that guy think, what was I doing? What why did I get stuck here? And maybe he's got his ring and he's just happy to be around young guys and be a mentor for them and play. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, Woods just grinding away in obscurity in Oakland. And by the way, I have nothing against the Raiders. I don't really care. I think they're a fine team. They're one of those teams that I think if they became good, it would be fun. It really would. Like, let's say Derek Carr's the real deal and Khalil Mack's the next, Lawrence Taylor, and they became really good again. I think that would be fun. I really do think that would be pretty awesome for the NFL.
They've always had fun pieces over the last 10 years since they've been terrible. I mean, they've always had a guy here or a guy there, but you've covered your share of games there. That is just a triple-A organization. It is just as bad as it is.
It's a terrible. Yes.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to you, Frank. Do you think that this is rotting from the head down? Is this just everyone in that organization just is triple-A? I won't say incompetent because I'm sure there are some fine people that work there. But is it organizational top to bottom, or is this starting at the top the way the Redskins does?
I don't think it may be bad. I don't. It's too tough to make a statement like that on Mark Davis because I don't know him well enough. He's done some weird things, but I think the track record there is too short. I think at the end, Al Davis, he wasn't the same brilliant mastermind. Let's put it that way. I mean, Al Davis is kind of losing it a little bit there at the end and made some really weird draft picks. And it's tough to dig out from that. It's tough when you miss draft after draft after draft after draft. And then you trade the farm for Carson Palmer in the middle of the season. That's no good for you either. So I think that it's just snowballed on them so much that they needed a draft like they've had this year, where I think Derek Carr's a pretty good player. I think Khalil Mack's a really good player. They need something to snowball the other way for them for once, and they can't get anybody to come there in free agency because just nobody. They had a record number of cap room. They couldn't land one impact free agent, so they got to do it through the draft. Maybe they get really, really, really lucky and hire a really good coach after a season. I don't know, but. They just need positive things to happen. I don't know if I think it's just organizational snowballing, for making up a term, because it's just gotten out of control for the Raiders, and it's tough to dig out of that when you're so deep.
So suppose they call you. Suppose Mark Davis calls you and offers you a pay cut from your job at Yahoo to come and serve as the general manager. Gives you carte blanche, says, do whatever you want, just get us back to 500. What do you do?
I think the only way to do it is through the draft and to try maybe overpay a young player or two. That was their problem. They didn't want to overpay anybody, and I get it. I do fundamentally, but that's the only way you're getting anybody to come there. So it's like the Bills signing Mario Williams to that $96 million deal. Well, they had to what you're going to offer him a fair market deal? He's going to go somewhere else. You got to overpay him.
Apparently.
Yeah, a very nice one. And so I think you just every move needs to be made to, okay, how can we become a winning team by 2018? But not let's try to make it 8-8 this year. Let's try to build this so we could be a contender in 2018, 2019, 2020. And that just drafts and signing young guys, even if you got to overpay a little bit.
By the way, like Tony Sparano, he always does a sunglasses at night thing, but how much do you think he was looking forward to last night's game? Because it's really cool when you're a Raiders head coach and you're dressed in all black and you're wearing the sunglasses at night. I mean, that was awesome. Like,
I didn't realize the story behind that. A couple of people, we actually wrote about it at Shutdown Corner years ago, before I was here, and he had like an incident, like an accident with a deep fryer, and it like seriously, go look this up. And Tony Sparano has like tear duct issues and all that, and that's why literally you have to wear the sunglasses. He has to wear sunglasses. It's like a Jim McMahon type of thing where he's not just doing it to be cool at night. I was wondering if the guy could see. Like, boy, I wear sunglasses like late.
I'm just saying, it looks a lot. It looks like a lot cooler when you're wearing silver and black than with teal and orange or whatever the Dolphins' official colors are.
If there was a head coach that had managed to pull the wool over the eyes of the rest of the NFL and actually was blind, he would be coaching for the Raiders, though, wouldn't he?
It's probably true, yes. That is probably what would have happened. It probably would be the Raiders.
Well, let's look at the other side of the ball.
Good for the Raiders, you know?
Let's look at the other side of the ball. Raiders clinched their 1-15 season. Great for them. But the Chiefs, that was an awful loss for them. And any hopes that they had of getting a bye in the playoffs, they're in jeopardy now. I mean, they had to beat the Broncos either way. They're going to have to beat the Broncos either way. But man, how can you come out on, even if it's on a Thursday night, even if it's a road game, how can you look that bad against a team like Oakland?
Yeah, even if it's a terrible spot. I mean, it was an awful spot for them to be 4 days after playing the Seahawks. You go on the road. You play a team that's their Super Bowl. You know, especially once they took an early lead. Once you take an early lead, then the crowd's into it. They know, okay, here's our chance to get the one. And also, you know, something that comes back into play is that's a divisional game, and that's the first tiebreaker. That kills them. They're going to have to probably, unless the Broncos lose, you know, maybe they lose to the Chargers, I don't know, but they're going to have to beat the Broncos and hope that the Broncos finish a game behind them, basically. It's not easy, and I really thought that if the Chiefs could have beat the Broncos at Arrowhead Stadium next week, that they were going to win the AFC West, and the Broncos were going to be a wild card. The Broncos were the big winner last night. Really. Like, they were. They're pretty much, I don't want to say guaranteed, but they're now, again, a clear favorite in the AFC West, and they're not going to have to go the wild card route. Well,
if you're the Chiefs, I think you just have to get back to Kansas City, reset, say, hey, we've got 10 days. The Broncos still have to get through the Dolphins. Would take advantage of that. Let's feed off of Arrowhead Stadium, but man, you'd much rather do that with a win under Oakland under your belt and not all the self-doubt creeping in. You talked about their inability to hit the receivers. Why is it Alex Smith? Is it the scheme? Is it a combination of everything?
It's the receivers too. I mean, Dwayne Bowe hasn't been good in 5 years. It's a little bit of everything. They're so risk averse. I mean, it's hard to watch them sometimes. When it's bad, when it's good, that's fine. When Jamal Charles is running the ball, now Davis is looking like one of the 10 best tailbacks in football off the bench, then it's really good. But when you get behind like they were, and you just know that they can't hit a big play to a receiver, and they're not even going to take chances down the field very often, it could get really tough to watch them.
Well, the knock on them last year, after they ran off that 9-0 start, was that they were just beneficiaries of a soft schedule. And then is that the case again this year, where they haven't really been tested? Yes, they had that big win against the Patriots, but they're getting their flaws exposed, both receiving and running, that would get them doomed in the playoffs?
I don't think so. I think honestly, I think the Chiefs are the same team today that I thought they were yesterday. They were in a bad spot. They were in like we've talked about, the sandwich game between the Seahawks and the Broncos on the road Thursday night. I think that we all know who they are. They're a good team. They're pretty strong at what they do, but they're limited. They're a team that can't fall behind. That their quarterback's not going to just have one of those games where he just carries you to a win. Even though he played great in the playoffs last year against Colts, actually. They are who we thought they were, basically, to use Denny Green.
All right, well, let's look ahead to Week 12 this Sunday in the NFL. Decent slate of games, maybe not what we expected from Week 11 or what we were expecting in Week 11, but I think there's some potential for some good stuff. We do the upset of the week, the lock of the week, and the game we would pay to see. Where do you guys want to start with this?
Start with a lock. That's easy enough. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, because there's seemingly a lot of them this week.
Yeah, there's a few of them. My initial one was Colts over Jaguars, although the Colts are kind of a mess. The Jaguars have switched into that role of whipping boy now for us, now that the Raiders are on their one-game winning streak. I think this is another one of those games that the Colts just can't afford to take lightly. They're at home, should be fine, should take care of business without a problem.
I'd probably, even though they're a road team, I'd probably go Packers over Vikings, just because I have no idea how the Vikings can score enough. They're a team that's always below 20. I don't think Ben Tate's turning things around for them. The way the Packers' offense is going, I can't see them scoring less than 20 in this game, no matter how good the Vikings' defense is. So I just can't envision a scenario the Vikings score enough to win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the one that stands out the most is the 49ers over the Redskins. The Redskins have had just an awful week, a lot of infighting. 49ers need this win. It's at home. I think they're going to get it done. So
I wonder about that game. Because it's almost like the Redskins are almost better off being on the road. They're better. It's almost
hotel room is going to solve all their problems.
They had this terrible game against the Bucs. They're going to have to refocus a little bit. I think I think Gruden gave RG3 a little kick in the behind, too, and I think he might come out and play well. And the 49ers, almost every game is close, so play here, play there. I'm not saying the Redskins are going to win. I don't think they really will, but I think that game might actually be interesting.
Here's my vision of how that game's going to go. RG3 is going to be standing in the locker room. He's going to give the old, every inch we can take from any given Sunday. He's going to give the Braveheart speech. He's going to be standing there. He's going to be trying to rally his teammates. And then the camera's going to turn around, and all his teammates are going to be sitting there filing their nails, looking off in the distance, showering, playing Candy Crush. No one's going to be paying a bit of attention to him.
At 6-4, this is a must-win, I think, for the 49ers, as much as a must-win Week 12 can be, because the Cardinals are playing the Seahawks. So 49ers, if they win this, they're guaranteed to pick up a game on either of those teams. So you can't lose this game and then with the game against someone else in the taking.
And they still have 2 games left against the Seahawks, so
one against the Cardinals.
It's not easy for them. And a game left against Arizona, too. The 49ers got a pretty tough schedule. So, yeah, you cannot blow this game. I agree. You can't. You just – this is – even though, you're not dead at 6-5, you kind of would be dead at 6-5 with a loss to the Redskins here.
All right. Your upset of the week. What out there intrigues you?
I guess it's a very, very minor upset, but I was going to pick the Bengals, but how could you pick they're a 1.5 point underdog or whatever. So I'll go to the Browns. I think the Browns are actually underdogs in this game at Atlanta. Josh Gordon's back. I don't think the Browns are getting enough respect here. I still think the Browns are a pretty good football team, especially with Josh Gordon coming back. And I think the Falcons are a terrible football team. Sorry, Jay. And
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't really. I think that. Give me the Browns.
Yeah, that's almost a reputational line, isn't it? That they're going and not trusting Cleveland at all, giving Atlanta 3 at home, which is basically the home field guaranteed.
Yeah, they're saying these two teams are equal, and I don't agree with that.
Right.
You're going to be covering that game, Jay?
I will be there at the game. I mean, the Dome has always been a place in the last few years up until this year where the Falcons had maybe not a New Orleans level of comfort, but they had a little bit more comfort than they do on the road. But I'm with you. I don't think that we know what to expect out of this Falcons team. I think the Browns come in more poised than Atlanta, which is the first time that you could say that in a long time. And, it's going to be fun to see how Josh Gordon does. That's going to be my assignment, is basically keeping an eye on Josh Gordon and seeing how he reacclimates himself with this Cleveland offense.
Maybe you can parlay that into, the Des Bryant security detail kind of role for the Browns. You can keep an eye on Josh Gordon the rest of his career.
Exactly. I'll see if they'll have me. My upset was Rams over Chargers. Not again like you said, Frank. There's not a whole lot of big meaty upsets this week. The Rams have got the potential. The Chargers. This is very much a game where they need to be focused on this. They need to win it if they want to stay in the hunt for all the reasons that we just described. But I think that the Rams have a chance of knocking them off, sneaking in, and taking one.
The Rams have not been very good on the road, though, so I'd be a little bit.
That's why I'm betting with your money and not mine.
Okay, fair enough. My upset of the week, I'm going to go big. I'm going to pick Tennessee over Philadelphia. I think Tennessee actually came out. They had a pretty good game against Pittsburgh. Didn't work out for them, but Mettenberger's been all right, here and there. Mark Sanchez mania is not what Frank Schwab was hyping it to be.
I'm not giving up. I'm not. Sanchez is going to roll this week.
So there's a couple of big obvious survivor pool picks there. I think the Titans take a bunch of people out. Mark it down.
That would be good to see.
Mark it 8, dude. That's whenever there's an obvious survivor pick at this time of the year, I just staying clear. Yeah, because it always gets you. Always gets you.
Yeah. So what's the obvious survivor pick that you're steering clear of? Titans, Eagles?
It's probably Titans. Yeah, probably. If I had any team left, and you do, Kevin. Why haven't we talked about this on the podcast? Well, let's go to this. Let's just pause right now from our picks of the week, and let's talk about you being alive in a survivor pool in Week 12. How is it? You're freaking out. You're thinking about this 22 hours.
I'm at the point where if I get knocked out at this point, things will be broken. Things will be thrown. Yeah. Swears will be muttered.
It's like being out on the tightrope, man, and you're a long way away from either side, and it's swaying, and you're a little bit nervous. You're a lot nervous.
Right. Okay, so I said lock of the week. Maybe I should make my survivor pool the lock of the week.
Let's share. Who is your survivor pool pick this week?
Drum roll, please.
Bring it.
We're going with the Bears over the Buccaneers.
Kevin.
So it's been written, so it will be done.
Go big or go home.
How
Look,
good
I've,
do you feel?
I've made a spreadsheet. It's color coded. I've got everyone I've got left. And the Bears, if you don't pick the Bears here at home against the Buccaneers, you're not picking them anywhere else.
Okay, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how 10 being like jumping out of a window somewhere, how angry are you going to be if on Sunday night you say, what was I doing picking a 4-6 team in my survivor pool and I've made it this far?
How angry will I be? I mean, it's compounded by the fact that the Bears are my favorite team, right?
Right.
So it'll be even worse. But
this is going to be an epic fail if they don't get this done. I've only made it.
How do you feel? How do you feel about my chances?
I actually like the strategy. I do. I'm giving you a hard time, but I like the strategy. I understand it completely. We're both in the same survivor pool. Where you got to start once it gets down to a certain amount of people. You got to start picking 2 teams every week. So you kind of have to use the Bears type of game right here because you're never going to pick them again. So I like the strategy, but I'd also just feel vomitous the whole game that they're just going to blow. Like, I've only made it deep into survivor pools twice. Both times the 49ers were prominently involved. Both times the 49ers blew it for me. The one was where the Coy Detmer got hurt during the game, and even and the third stringer AJ Feely comes in and wins the. I had the 49ers in that game. It was on a Monday night. It stunk. And then like 2 years ago, when David Akers missed like 8 field goals at St. Louis, that screwed it for me. So, but you're right. You get to this point, you'd almost rather lose week 2 because you get to this point and it's just so crushing if you lose. It is. It's just
the Bears. Like, there's a little part of me that's going to be like, let's stick it to Bears administration. Let me do a favor for my old pal Lovie Smith and play half speed. Like, I'm a little worried about that. Okay, I'm worried about that.
You know what's going to happen.
This is still Tampa Bay and Chicago at the end of November. A bunch of players live in Florida and are soft. I think the Bears get it done. I think the Bears.
You know that I will send you you know how this is going to happen if they lose. It's going to be good because Jay Cutler throws 7 picks, and I'm going to send you every single Jay Cutler bad body language photo from the game, just to absolutely troll you.
And then you're gonna sign on, and you're gonna be like, "Why does my login doesn't work?" Huh.
Frank Schwab no longer exists at Yahoo.
We talk a lot, Kevin. I had no idea you were even alive in the main Survivor still. You've kept this under wraps. You haven't really bragged a lot about it.
And now that I'm talking about it, now that I've done a spreadsheet,
you did the spreadsheet.
Probably guaranteed I'm out. I'm done.
I didn't tell you to do a color-coded spreadsheet. That was the kiss.
You got to. So I broke it down. I have everyone who's left. I have green for ones you feel. I have green for what you feel good about picking, yellow for maybe if the conditions are right, and red for like absolutely not. So like, I have like 49ers left, and it's like red, both Seattle games and the Arizona game. But like, green for when they visit Oakland. But
you realize that we could cure cancer if we harnessed all the energy that we expend as a country on meaningless ass fantasy football. We need to do this next year with our listeners. We need to make some money off of them. So
survivor pool.
Yeah, do a survivor pool with our listeners.
Let's do it. If you're interested, hit us up on Twitter and we will get that started. We probably that's
always
doable.
I myself on survivor pools, man. I just
survivor pools are fun. I like the strategy.
I like them too. I'm terrible at it, but I like them.
All right. Anyhow, back to the Bears real quickly. I want to throw this out. I don't think that these Bears are done kicking me right between the legs just yet. I foresee a scenario where they go on a run here. If you look at all their games, they're winnable. And here's what's going to happen. They are going to win the next 5 games, and they're going to have a playoff spot on the line going into Minnesota, the final game of the season, and they're going to lose it. That is what is going to happen. I guarantee you.
I did this. I did this for Power Rankings. I was looking at their schedule just to kind of – I had nothing to really say about the Bears, so sometimes I'll just look at a team's schedule, see if there's something interesting coming up. I looked at the Bears' schedule, and I was like, wow, they could seriously get on a run here. And then I kind of remember they're the Chicago Bears. I was like, oh, well.
But seriously, they've got they've got 2 games against the Lions left. Okay, so those are tough. One is on Thursday, so maybe
you got to hope for a split there, I guess. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about them running the table, but you've got the Cowboys at home. Is that a Monday night or a Thursday night?
Either way, I think it's a Thursday, but sure, why not?
And then you've got the Saints at home. The Saints have been terrible
on the road, especially.
Then you've got a Vikings game in there, and you've got the Buccaneers. So I don't think it. See, I just see it happening because I feel like they're just going to draw Chicago back in
just to twist the knife a little bit more, huh? What do you think is the team that is the most miserable to its fans, that gives them the most hope and takes
Washington
it away?
Redskins.
No, the Redskins are just terrible.
No, because we're going in, the Redskins are going to suck. What do you think just over the last... We probably ought to figure some way to statistically analyze this.
Right? Or at least recently. It's the Lions have now wasted the careers of maybe the greatest running back and one of the top 2 or 3 receivers of all time. They have no playoff wins. One playoff win with Barry Sanders to show for
49ers with their run of title games here, I think has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, but they've won a lot. I mean, if you're so young that you don't remember the '94 Niners winning a Super Bowl, you haven't really built up any goodwill with me. You could suffer a little bit more. You know?
Way to appeal to that demographic, Frank. Thank you.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you're
Screw you, millennials.
If you are
what I'm thinking about the 49ers, I'm thinking like in terms of, like, you look at baseball, you look at a team like the Tigers, how much money they've spent, how much they've won over the last 6 or 7 years, and they still don't have a World Series title to show for it. So when I think about that, no Tigers fan is like, oh man, but at least we had Ty Cobb. What about 1984?
This is a little more recent than that. I mean, I'm just, the 49ers have been good in most people's lifetimes. Or you're too young that I'm not gonna let you play the sob story. So
the Broncos have won more recently than the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't say the Broncos are I don't give any Felix Rogers Broncos fans. They've experienced a lot of success. They're fine.
The
They're good.
The Eagles is probably
the Eagles are one of those teams. All those NFC Championship games in a row, and really good run that never got them over the hump. And I feel like this team probably is teasing them a little bit too.
You've got the Cowboys, who haven't won in forever, despite the hype. You've got the Patriots, who are now a decade on from their Super Bowl.
Poor Patriots.
But I'm not asking for any sympathy for Boston fans by any means. But yeah, that's up there. Anyway,
the Vikings are also up there just because they've never ever won, and that NFC Championship game at New Orleans that's Game 6. Bill Buckner goes through his legs. I mean, that was so awful for Vikings fans. Goodness.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Finally, to the game we would pay to see. What money are you shelling out for tickets this week?
I would like to go to see the Jets-Bills game in Detroit because I probably wouldn't have to pay any money. They're probably going to give me the ticket to come see it. No, seriously, I would go Cards-Seahawks. I think that's obviously the game of the week. That's the one that we're going to want to see how things go in the West, and that's going to be probably the most compelling matchup.
Yeah, I'm on the Lions-Patriots here because I think that's a really good football game. I was surprised to see the Patriots favored by a touchdown. I think the Lions can hang in there. I guess I don't trust the Lions completely, but they do have a good defense. They have some playmakers. If they want to be taken seriously, they need to play well here. They can't lose by 13 and have their fans yelling at me about why don't I have them ranked higher or whatever. Come on, Lions. If you're a real honest to goodness contender, go at least play well at New England.
Play well for Frank.
I'm with Jay. I want to see that Cardinals Seahawks game, and I wouldn't mind getting your take on this a little bit more, Frank. But I want to see what the Cardinals do on the road. Obviously, they went into Dallas and won. That was a big win, but that's not the same as going into Seattle and winning. They've got a 3-game lead. If they win, they've got a 4-game lead on Seattle, which is just mind blowing with 5 weeks to play.
It's probably over right now, anyway. But
what do you think? I mean,
I think that's the problem. The Seahawks are one of they're that team this year where. I remember from last year. I look at their roster; they look great. I look at their advanced metrics; they're fine. They're a good team, and there's just something missing with the Seattle Seahawks this year. They're just not the team we remember from last year, and they haven't. I keep waiting, and I keep picking them, and I keep saying, "Okay, this is the week. Oh, the Seahawks. This is the week they get it going," and then they go and lose at Kansas City. So, I picked the Seahawks. I picked them even against the spread, and it's a big spread at 6.5.
I mean, if this roster is not immune to the Super Bowl winner jinx or whatever, I mean, what team in the future is ever going to be?
You have to be it's amazing. It's tough. You get to the pinnacle. It's just tough to reload. On the other side, if the Cardinals go into Seattle with Drew Stanton and they win and they are 10-1. if I don't put them number one, and I probably won't because I'll probably put the Patriots number one, I am going to get so many emails from Arizona fans. And honestly, I won't have a very good argument against them. Because at that point, what more do they need to prove? They've won at Dallas. They've beat some really good teams. They would have at that point, beat the 49ers and the Seahawks. They'd be up, like you said, 4 games over the Seahawks in the division. How could you not rank a 10-1 Cardinals team coming off a road win at Seattle number one overall? It'd be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch, and maybe Bruce Arians is right. Maybe Drew Stanton, you can win.
It would be one of the greatest coaching jobs of all time, and I'm not even exaggerating. If you take Drew Stanton, who had literally go look at Drew Stanton's career stats. He wasn't a great college. I mean, he wasn't one of these guys coming out of college where we're like, yeah, Drew Stanton. He was just a late round pick. Really never played much. When he did play, he wasn't any good. If he goes to the Super Bowl, that would be one of the almost unbelievable stories. At least with Sanchez, like I've talked about, I think the Phillies going to make a run. Sanchez was a top 5 pick at one point. It's like, well, maybe it took some time, right system, blah, blah, blah. Drew Stanton's just a guy, and if Bruce Arians could take him to the Super Bowl, my goodness, Bruce Arians would be the coach of the next 3 years, I think. We'd have to just give him the next few awards.
So one of the games I think we haven't talked about, and just to wrap this up, Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys come off their bye week. Last time we saw them, they were in England beating up on the Jaguars. You were saying everything is right again in Jerry World. So do they go into New York and continue that theme, you think?
I think so, because the Giants are really bad. They're a bad football team. I think they've kind of snuck up on us as a bad football team, but they were terrible last year. They're terrible this year. They haven't covered the spread in 5 straight weeks. I don't know why they would beat the Cowboys all of a sudden. I don't know why all of a sudden the Giants are going to become a decent football team this week. It happens, I guess, in the NFL, but this is one of those. It's another game. Hey, Cowboys, if you're for real, if you want to make the playoffs, you win this kind of game. You just do. You don't go into the Giants and lose.
This is another game that's like the Cleveland and Cincinnati, where it seems like these two teams play each other 4 times in a year. It just happens, and I think it's because it gets the marquee placement. But
it always does.
This is going to be the Giants. I'm sorry, have a 5-game losing streak right now. This should be a blowout. This should be another Sunday night torching. But and if it's not, Dallas has got a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, are we in the last month and a half of a pretty good coaching career in Tom Coughlin?
I think so. I mean, I was asked that on the radio the other day, and I kind of said, yeah, it's nothing. I'm not saying Tom Coughlin's a bad coach, but at this point, it's just done. You just reach a point sometimes.
The era is over. You just kind of have to reset.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's time in New York, and I hope what Tom Coughlin has achieved in his career. I mean, you look going back even to the Jaguars. He's had a heck of a career, and kind of hope he goes out on his terms. I don't know. I don't want to see him fired, I guess.
Yeah, and he has been a heck of a... Going back to Boston College, really. We never talk about guys who, we talk about the college to pros guys. Tom Coughlin never gets brought up. He basically came from college and did a heck of a job. Like you said, Jacksonville first, and the Giants. I like him a lot as a coach, but they just need a change. They just do. It's just, they were really, really bad last year. They're really bad this year. It's funny because we say, 5 of the last 6 seasons haven't made the playoffs. Well, that one season was a Super Bowl championship. It just changes everything. It gives you so much more time and goodwill, but I just think at this point it's over.
Sorry, Tom. Actually, I don't like to actually acknowledge his time in Boston College, because when I was a youngster, I was a pretty big Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. That 1993 game, the week after Florida State, was
nobody remembers that was Tom Coughlin.
One of the all-time letdowns.
That's crazy.
I think going back, but that still hurts, even though I'm not the Notre Dame fan I once was.
How did you end up a Notre Dame fan? Was that little kid front running?
Catholic kid from Chicago,
there
man. My grandmother says the rosary during games. How am I not going to?
There you go. Makes sense.
We used to get tickets for my dad. My dad's boss would go out there. We'd get to see him play the dregs of the schedule. Saw a lot of 49-0 victories over Michigan State and Purdue and whoever at Navy. Those are the tickets we got.
Like those military academies.
When USC came to town, I was not there.
That's a cool place to watch a game. It's really cool. I was there once a couple years ago, and it's legit. I'll give it that. Yeah,
it's a great setting. Anyone who gets a chance should go to a Notre Dame game and they've actually expanded the stadium, and I think they're expanding it even more now. But back in the day, when it only held like 60,000, it was literally just like kind of an old school bowl. I mean, that was as good as it got. But anyhow. Anything else, gentlemen? Any other thoughts heading into this weekend?
I don't think so. Just excited for the Raiders Nation and getting ready to watch some football. And hoping Buffalo Bills actually make it to Detroit for this rescheduled game.
Yeah, they're trying to round up their players like they're all little lost ducklings or something. They're trying to figure out where they are and get them to Detroit.
Talking about snowmobiles to the airport. And I don't know.
Anyway, you pick the Bills in that game?
That's what I was. I was doing my picks and before we came on, and I got to pick the Jets because we talk about distractions. This is really a distraction. Like, you haven't been able to practice all week. You probably haven't been able to go out of your house all week. Yeah, I don't know how you really get excited to go to Detroit and play a football game in front of 10,000 fans. The Jets are prepared for this. They're ready. I don't think the Bills – if the Bills win, that'd be a heck of an effort for them.
How are they doing the tickets? I mean, I made the joke about it earlier, but – are they just
I remember right from that Vikings game, in the Metrodome collapse when they played in Detroit. I think it's like $10 general admission or something like that. That sticks in my mind. Really cheap general admission tickets.
That's fun.
I'd go.
I don't know.
I'd go.
I like when they do this stuff.
Like, let's say that for some reason, like, we're in Denver. Like, they relocated the game to Denver. If I was a fan, I'd go. Why not?
Sure. Take your kid, root for a team.
Sure,
pay $10. No heartbreak either way.
Michael Vick.
But it's one of the weirder. It's strange when this stuff happens. I mean, it's goofy, but it has happened a few times, and I just wonder. Like, I also wonder, like, with they're under 7 feet of snow or whatever it is. How are you even getting an airplane out of there? How's this happening? What are they doing to get a plane out? I don't know how they could play. I don't get.
Mario Williams and his Bobcat. He's got to show up to the airport with it.
And even the equipment. There's a lot of equipment, obviously, that NFL teams travel with. How do they get that truck out of there? How do they? It's the logistics of this, really.
They're going to have to go and buy Lions souvenir shirts at the stadium shop, and they have to be all of them are going to be. It's going to be a whole team of Matt Staffords.
God help them if they have to wear Lions uniforms. But I know definitely who I'll be picking. Anyhow. All right, well, Godspeed to all our friends in Buffalo. Stay warm. Look at our past podcasts to keep you company. We're all up on YouTube, and we're getting up a couple of other Yahoo podcasts, Merrick versus Wyshynski, Dr. Saturday. Those are all going to be available on there, so you know where to find them. And we are at Shutdown Podcast on Twitter. And all of us have individual accounts. Follow us, send us questions. We will talk about them on the air if you do. This has been the Shutdown Corner Podcast. I am Kevin Kaduk with Frank Schwab and Jay Busbee. We thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.